Sleigh bells ring. Yeah. Now you're listening.
Oh, yeah.
To the Prop Culture Podcast, and I am your host, Matt Trader, and to my left, as always, is my tag team partner, Mr. Shane Snoots. And ladies and gentlemen, my favorite time of the year, actually our favorite time of the year, is upon us. That's right. Thanksgiving Day is coming up. We've got Christmas coming up, and today we're going to talk all about the holidays and Turkey Day and all kinds of good shit. But before we do, I got one thing to address. My man over here decided to go and get engaged during our little break. Threw me off. It was quite the plot twist, I gotta say. Like, where did this come from, man?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
hey, man, it's just you have to play it close to the vest on these things, and I didn't tell. I think I told my family. That's it.
Yeah.
And then so it was funny. It was like all my boys like reach out to me. They're like, "And you didn't say anything to us?"
Yeah.
I'm like, well, no, I just couldn't. I knew if I started telling everybody, then I'd have to remember who I told.
Yeah.
So they don't say anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So it was a complete surprise. And it was, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm the worst at holding secrets. Like, not secrets in terms of that, but like if I have a surprise, dude, I just want to give, like for Christmas, it's hard for me to keep gifts before Christmas Day. You know what I mean? Like, or birthdays. So it was like, you have this thing and you're like, okay, when can I do it? Can I just do it now? And then, but you got to make it special and stuff like that. So it was a lot to like pressure wise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever felt like, not in terms of pressure, but like almost where it's like you have anxiety of the build up. You're like, come on, can we just get to this day? Like, you know what I mean? You're ready for it to get there. And when it finally was done, I was like, oh man, this is great. So yeah, we're excited and I'm excited.
Without getting too personal, because I know you like to keep things private, and I totally respect that. Although, you know, we're on air a lot, we're in front of the public a lot. We are both pretty private people.
Yeah.
Can you reveal about how maybe you did it? I mean, tell us.
Well, we went. So I took her to. Well, actually, she's smart enough to really understand that if there's something different, I'm so routine.
Yeah.
That like if we were to go somewhere, then she would know.
Yeah.
Like, she'd be like, what the fuck? This is weird. Like, why are we going here? So I made up an excuse. Like, I was like, hey, I got to go check this property down in Ocean City.
Yeah.
And then we can just swing by, you know, one of the restaurants on the way out, you know, whatever. And she's like, okay, that sounds good. So we go up there and I go to, we go to 60th, I think it is, 60th, one of those streets. Oh, the upper streets, Midtown. And, I was like, oh man, I wonder what the beach looks like right now. Like, cause the storms had just kind of washed everything away. And I was like, yeah, let's go out there. And she, of course, like I knew if I was like, hey, come with me, she'd be like, no, I'm not going to come.
Yeah,
like, it's cold. And I was like, oh, you don't have to come. And she was like, well, I'm going to come with you. So she gets out and she's like, you know, we go up and we get to the beach. And then, you know, of course we get to like where the water is. And then like a couple inches back, and then I popped down on one knee, and she was like, I mean, I thought she was almost going to have a heart attack because she was like this. She had no idea. She had no idea. She dropped her keys, all this stuff. So that was an amazing day just in general. That's one of those things like that people talk about, you know, that feeling. That was an amazing feeling.
You don't know what to do after that happens either. You're kind of like, okay, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, well, it's we got in the car and we're like, well, what's next? Like,
there's a lot of energy surrounding.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, and I joked about it, was like everyone, as soon as you tell somebody that you're engaged, they're like, but when's the date? Yeah. And you're like, dude, I literally like 10 minutes ago. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have that in my head. You know what I mean? So, and it's funny because that's always whatever, like for the next like week, everyone's like, do you have a date? I'm like, dude, what? We're still running. You're still running off a high. You know what I mean? You're still up here. You're like still up here. And you're like, because I remember I talked to you the next day and we were sitting there talking. You were like, yeah, man.
You threw me way off. I was like, my wife showed it to me on Facebook. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that was a plot twist.
Yeah.
I didn't even see that coming.
And you were like, but you reached out to me. I think it was Saturday night. You reached out to me right when it like went live on Facebook. And again, I'm the most private of human beings. I don't talk about stuff out loud, but that's a big deal, and I'm excited. She's excited, so we're of course in the midst of planning everything, and that's, I mean, in itself, that's just a whole, just planning. I think weddings in general are as stressful as you make them.
Yeah.
You can make them stressful if you want, or I'm fortunate enough to where she doesn't, my better half, I should say, doesn't want to, she's not as particular as probably many, right?
That's good.
And on my end, you know, I'm not, I'll go with it.
Whatever,
right?
you're going to be Groomzilla, man. They called me Groomzilla. I was so particular
Well,
about
dude,
shit.
Here's the one
These
thing.
guys in the studio know how OCD I am about
I'm going to show up.
So,
I'm going to show up dressed to the nines. I mean, you already know that's a given. You know what I mean? So, and the boys are going to be dressed to the nines. You know what I mean? So, we're all, but it's just a lot of planning, a lot of, and it's not something that you typically know how to plan. Like as a guy, you don't know where the fuck to start at. I mean, so
you just do it, man.
Yeah, that's where it's like. So you just start knocking things off the list of like, what do you need? Okay, well, like let's get these things. So, knocking the big things off is what we've been trying to get done now. Yeah. And then worry about the other smaller stuff. So.
But I respect the fact that you didn't want to tell anybody. I was the same way. I really the only people that really knew I was going to do it was I think my parents. Mm-hmm. And then I went to her dad, the week before and asked her dad. But I didn't tell any of my friends, nobody. And it sucks because like I got a friend of mine, is one of my best friends, and he was in the jewelry business at the time. Yeah. And I was so private about it, I wouldn't even go to him for the ring, which I probably should have looking back. I've always felt bad about not doing it. But I just didn't want anybody to know. And actually, I will tell you this. Right after I asked her dad, I did call a couple of my friends who were out of town that I knew weren't local, that I went to college with, and told them because I had to tell somebody. Yeah. I just didn't want to get in around because you want to keep it private.
That's what
small town community. You don't want to get in the back to anybody.
That's
it's tough.
It's like if you tell one person, then it's like you remember what you told them, when you told them, and then you're like, okay, I gotta make sure that. In that time, I was like, that's just, so it was easy. I was like, keep it to my family. I was like, keep it simple, family. That way I don't have to be like, well, I told them. And then the other thing was, it was just like it was like picking a time or a date to propose. Yeah. When you have it, there is no, like, you can draw up the perfect day for you, but that, like, I don't know how many people can wait, you know what I mean, for, that's to me is like it's a preference of whoever's doing it, but that's just not in me. I'm like, if you have that in your possession, you're like, you want to marry that person, you want to spend your life with that person. It's like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Let's just get this shit. Like, so you're like, I mean, because you try to plan and do everything you can, but then you like, I mean, you don't know how many times my plans changed from that engagement, like, just like from starting. This was the initial idea to like the end of where we ended up. Yeah. That was.
Well, it sounded like it went perfect. Yeah. And honestly, like you could plan all you want. It's like what's Sean Kanan say, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, right?
Exactly.
Right? Mike Tyson said that. Mike Tyson said, I don't know why I said it. But either way, but I remember when I proposed, I had it all planned out, and I took Jen to the Poconos. It was like during this blizzard of 2008. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, I'm glad I didn't tell anybody. Yeah. Because if I didn't propose that day, I probably wouldn't be with her right now. Dude, I drove her to like literally in one of the biggest blizzards we've ever had. Yeah. Into the mountains. Yeah. Okay. And I was driving a 95 Cadillac DeVille at the time, and one of my windshield wipers were broken. Dude, literally, it was so fucking bad. I was hanging my head out the window. Okay. To see where I was going at one point. If I like this was such a comedy of errors. If I did not propose that day, I do not think we'd be together.
But here's the thing.
Like, she was looking at me like the whole time, like, this dude, I'm telling you, if I didn't have a ring, I don't think we would be together that day.
But you were on a mission. You knew at that point, you were like, I have to do this.
Dude, it was awful. Like, I mean, I was like oh my God. It's been a long 15 years together.
How was the pressure of that
for her, not for me, for her. It's been a long time for her.
That pressure, that snowstorm, comparative to like the pressure of being like getting that moment. Yeah. Getting to that moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like a big game almost. Like you're like, oh, you have butterflies, you're like, what? And here's the thing, you might know the answer. You know the outcome. but it's still like getting to that part. You're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like I can only explain it. It's not even a pressure feeling. It's literally like, it's like right before you're about to go on stage or like you're about to perform or go play a sport of any sort. It's like that.
It's like good anxiety. Good. It's like
you thrive in it, obviously, but it's also like that. Like you're just anxious. You're like, come on, let's get this.
Dude, I'll tell you something. While we're in the studio, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, ask Maurice to show it to you. When Maurice basically got married, you should see the video of how they orchestrated their whole wedding. It was fucking brilliant. If you've not seen this, you have to see it.
I will.
It's awesome. Dave knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Dude, it is fucking fire. He showed it to me like a year ago, and either way. So look, man, we're talking about family a lot today, all right? And there's probably no better family, time than this time of the year.
Absolutely.
Get ready to get into Thanksgiving, baby.
Yes.
So tell me, man, like, you got any big traditions? Personal, don't have to be family things, but personal traditions. What do you do, man? What do you like to do for Thanksgiving?
Man, it's family day for me. So typically we eat 3 or 4. Like in the afternoon we'll eat a big dinner. But the beginning of the day is just us, watching football.
Is there any like personal things that you do that you kind of like, you're a routine guy? So is there any things that you like to do?
I always work out on that day.
Do you? That's good.
No matter if it's an off day or not, I always work out on Thanksgiving. It's just one of those things that I like. Mentally, I need that to feel better about myself.
I can see that.
So, like, I like to just go to work no matter what. And luckily, the gym is open. But that's, like, the one thing that's, like, yes, like, it could be an off day. It could be whatever. And not, I mean, listen, you don't get credit for showing up to the gym. You know what I mean, on any day. It's just you go there. You're supposed to go there for you. But for me, that's one of those things that I start my day out. I'm like, let's go here. Let's get it started. And then from there, if there's breakfast, it's so many different things you can do. But I don't want to eat all day.
Me either. I do, but I want to eat when we start eating dinner.
That's what I mean. So getting to that part is you want to eat like a little small something in the day to like just hold you over. You want snacks. You want little snacks because the big meal's coming. You know what I mean? And I'll like carb lists almost all day until Thanksgiving. Like it'll be, typically my mother will bake like a ham, like a huge ham prior. So we can make little ham sandwiches, country ham, all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, all right,
there's nothing like some good country ham.
Oh man, like put it on a nice like little potato roll.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff we'll have at a time. Then typically we have like a charcuterie board, like meat and cheese. Yeah. Just to pick at.
Doesn't like good charcuterie board.
Oh man, listen, that's what I'm saying. Listen, the meat and cheese tray is destroyed at our house.
I like to drink. Yeah. And so like I like to drink, so it's like I'd rather just have finger foods, except for Thanksgiving, because once you eat, you're done. You're not drinking after that. Like you're so full, you are not drinking. At least back in the day when I was on the extracurricular activities a little more, I could eat.
Oh yeah,
all night long, baby.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I was on those Barry Bonds, So,
But that's where. I mean, do you drink? Do you drink on?
So I have like literally since probably I want to say like year 2000. I mean, it goes back 20 years. I don't even know when it started or why it started. I think I just had some clue and vodka laying around my parents' house. But every Thanksgiving at 12 o'clock when the Detroit Lions game starts, I make a White Russian.
Yeah.
And they're not, I mean, these things are fucking nuclear. Like, I mean, they're like, it would end the Cold War. Like, these White Russians are
fire.
Dude, I mean, it's basically a full glass of vodka and Kahlua with a splash of milk. And I use fat-free milk or skim milk because I don't want it to be too heavy. But I make this one White Russian.
Who are you trying to destroy?
I make it at 12 o'clock. And usually I'll drink it and sip on it, for about an hour or so because it's so lethal. And then, I mean, I'm feeling pretty neat after that one. I might have another one. Dude. And then what I've established now is because we go to my parents' house. So I'll pour my White Russian, watch a little bit of the game. We'll leave. We'll go to my parents' house. And then now my sons are old enough. So what I'll do is we're in my old neighborhood. So now me and my oldest son have been going on walks.
Yeah.
And just listening to some quiet, solemn music, some sad music, reflecting. You know, I'm walking through my old neighborhood. I'm seeing ghosts, man. I'm seeing like my childhood, telling them stories, and we always do that beforehand. I've got a pretty good buzz while I'm going, so my reflective state is even, you know, I'm in that whiskey sessions mindset. You know what I mean? Except I'm not on whiskey. I'm on White Russians. But so from that point forward, I pretty much drink White Russians until the end of Christmas. Like, that's pretty much my drink.
So it's White Russian
I'll drink some
season.
other. It's White Russian season, baby.
Yeah,
I mean, Nikolai Volkov, maybe.
So
but dude, I love them, man.
So my question is, so like, all right, so how does that work? You drinking? I mean, let's just call it 2 before dinner. I mean, is it because the amount of over duration of time? When do you typically eat at?
We don't eat till like 3 or 4 o'clock. So this is I'm not getting, dude. I'm good, man.
So, but by then, I'm fine. But here's what the worst part is. Let me just say this: if you have a good strong buzz going on, okay, you go eat. I mean, like a gluttonous amount.
I'm ready to eat.
You know what I mean? You destroy some food, right?
Yeah.
Well, what then? Like afterwards, you're in this state of like.
I don't drink anymore after that because you can't.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I'd catch a really good buzz before dinner. Watch some football, relax. You know, I'm not out of the way, dude. You know what I mean? You know, but it's, you know, but then once you eat, man, I'm unbelting that. I'm undoing my belt.
You're uncomfortable I'm just at that point, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't, you know, the tradition always was like when I was growing up was the night before.
Yeah.
Was everybody, you go out the night before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And we would meet at the bars, and it would be like generations of like, it'd be like this class of whatever. Everybody would be out, and they'd go to a specific bar or whatever. And you know what's weird? I don't know, like, since I've like really kind of backed away from that, I don't know who really still does that. Maybe it's still a thing. I don't know.
I've always invited some friends over like the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in my house. Cause like, so there was, they had this thing out in Delmar where a lot of people got together. But now where I live, you know, 20 minutes from there, and I've got kids now, I try not to go to it because I want to be home. I might, you know, maybe cook a little dish for the next day, you know, help my wife a little bit if I can. So if I can start something, you know, earlier in the afternoon on Wednesday, you know, have a couple friends come by, have a couple drinks, break some bread, and then, you know, just people I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then because they're home, like you said, everybody kind of comes home. So it's, you know, just to catch up. It's probably one of the few times a year I really get to catch up with some of those guys.
Well,
you know, and then to have some good conversation, and then send them on their way, and then, you know, it's still 7, 8 o'clock at night that time, 6 o'clock at night, whatever time. I can watch, you know, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or Frosty the fucking Snowman or whatever it is with my, you know, with my kids and get to enjoy them. But that's really what it's about nowadays, man. My kids are only, you know, they're 7 and 9, so I've only got so many holidays left before they're looking to hang out with their friends and not mom and dad. You know what I mean? So I want to take advantage of that while I can. You know, it's
I would agree. I mean, and you know what? Because you came over yesterday. We had something at my house for.
That was a good time.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
That was a good time.
Man, listen, anytime you have food, drinks, everything, and good football, that was a great football game yesterday. So, like, you can't, I mean, rarely do you have all 3 things add up. Like, you have drinks, you got good food, game might be shit. But, like, that game was, was an intense game.
I'm just glad I left before it ended because your dad probably would have put me in the back rack, man.
Big Harv was not. He exited stage right without saying anything.
Dude, I was telling you, only time I've ever seen anything like this, and for you guys this episode's probably airing a couple weeks after the game, but the only time I've ever seen anything like the end of that Bills-Vikings game is on All the Right Moves movie with Tom Cruise. And Pipe versus Walnut Heights, I think it's Walnut Heights. And if you watch that movie, it's literally the identical scenario almost.
Yeah. Well, what's sad is, and I said this yesterday, and I'm a huge homer for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I was like, this is where they're gonna have to have someone come in and talk to him, like psyche wise.
Yeah.
He's in his own. You could see at the end of the game, he was just after he lost that fumble in the end zone. And they went up. They scored that touchdown, basically. And we had 30-some seconds to go down. I mean, he was just literally he was like, I'm going to win. I'm going to do everything I can to win that game.
Yeah.
And then after that, he comes back down. You guys field goal. He's pushing the ball down the field. And he makes that fucking same error that he's made in the red zone. somebody.
This is by no means me talking shit or anything like this. I don't play that shit. But this is exactly what I sent my boys literally right before it happened. Well, I feel a pit coming. Yeah. Because I've watched the Bills like all year because I got Gabe Davis, and I've watched him do that the last couple weeks. Yeah. The same way.
Well, that's where but if you remember in the third quarter, right before you left, and I said this is the punch out. Like if they score here, because it was 24 to 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, if we go up on if we get 30 on you, it's done.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna hang it up. And we're going down the field, they go for it on fourth, and you literally looked at it and go, take the fucking points.
Yeah.
Take the points. I don't understand why these offensive coordinators get cute and they want to not.
I said, what are we?
So, again, what was the difference?
Those field goal. Take the points.
You take the field goal, and guess what? The game's over.
Yeah.
The game is over.
This Vikings team, I've watched them my whole life, and like I'm used to, and again, it's early in the season. All right, give them time; they'll probably fuck it up. But I've watched the Vikings my whole life, and every Vikings team has always found ways to lose games. And I don't know if it's McConnell it's saying something to these boys. I don't know what it is. But I feel like this team has been finding ways to win games that they probably should have lost.
Dude, Kurt
again, I don't know. They'll probably fuck it up before it's over with. But right now,
dude, he played his. Let me tell you something, and this is me. Hats off to him. Everyone kept saying, and I have converted one of my good friends from a Redskin or a Commanders fan to a Bills fan. He's a Bills. He's like, but Kurt's bound to just fuck this game up somehow. And that's what he kept saying. And I was like, he's different though. Like something about him today, he is like, he's made every throw on a dime to and
well, that Jefferson catch,
but
I mean,
here's the thing. What you realize is Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, they both make both of those quarterbacks look exponentially a lot better.
Yeah.
The one catch that Diggs had that was one-handed across the middle, that thing's 3 feet over his head.
Justin Jefferson said, "Hold my beer."
And then he does the same thing, tiptoes on the sideline for a huge first down. So it's like those guys. I mean, without those two throws, the it's over.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Buffalo doesn't go down the field after that for the Diggs play. Or Justin Jefferson, when he catches that on there, you guys don't get, it's 4th and 10.
Yeah.
Boom. You guys got to punt or go for it, but you know, there's no guarantee on that. So, yeah, that was an intense game, but nothing, you know what sucks is, and this is like and we can tie this into Thanksgiving because Buffalo's playing this year.
And the Vikings are too.
So, let me tell you something. This could be a
You segued before I did. I was going to use the same segue.
It was because Buffalo's playing Detroit. Now again, Detroit earlier in the year, I said they're a tough play. They're a tough out. They're not going to listen. They cover a lot. 90% of the time they cover on bets. Okay. Here's the problem. Buffalo's playing them on Thanksgiving. We typically play down to the competition. We don't. I mean, it's like we should beat this team by 10,000 points, so we're only going to beat them by 3.
Yeah.
So and it's like, so if we somehow lose that game, my Thanksgiving.
Dude, you're gonna be fine.
No, listen, Big Harv will be devastated. Like, we won't even watch. Like, yesterday, after that game, I didn't watch any football.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. That was enough for me. And it's like, I can't take watching this. And you know what? Like you said, you're not in control of it. You're not in control of what any of the play calling.
I don't worry about
any of the players. But I'm like, dude, my mind is like, I can't wrap my head around why you make that throw at the end of the game. Like, I was like, there's no in no scenario was that guy open across the middle.
Yeah, it's like I said, episode 3 or 4 weeks ago, or actually it was probably before that, but I don't get up. I mean, if I want to see my team win, I've never seen the Vikings win the Super Bowl. So if they lose, I'm like, but I'm not down about it for very long because I'm like not in control of it.
Yeah.
Like fantasy, I get bothered by that because I'm like, fuck, I could have just played this guy, could have played that guy, and it will bother me because I feel like I'm the one putting the work in. I'm responsible for the decision.
Yeah,
and I always make my decisions and sleep like a dog. But at the end of the day, that bothers me a little more than Vikings losing because I can't control it.
Yeah,
it's just is what it is, man. Just
do you think that? Well, and I think my sense of it is when your team is competitive, and they're supposed to win, when you have expectations on a team, and they lose, that's when you're upset. If the Vikings and the Bills are like, we all know they're sub 500, okay, you're like, oh, they beat a good team this week, or they lost to a good team this week. it's never. But when you have, especially now, both of our teams being the way they are, they're built to win now.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about crowning Josh Allen best quarterback, this and that. So when you see him completely, just unravel yesterday, and again, you're starting to see it because he's young. The pressure, that's my fear, is the pressure on him is starting to get to him. Unlike Kirk Cousins, who doesn't say anything, he really kind of minds himself, and they've really bashed him in the media for a long time about big game Kurt. Don't worry, Sunday Night Football, he's going to lose playoffs football. He'll lose. Yesterday, he did everything not to lose that game for them. Yeah. And that's big. I mean, because everyone kept saying, oh, there's going to be a moment where he's going to give this game away. Didn't at one
Crazy
point.
thing is we all hate on him, and I have my own issues with Kirk Cousins from time to time, but he's had like 24 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter in his career, which is kind of crazy.
Do you think it's
stat-wise?
How weird is it that if I was to tell you when he was drafted the same year that RG3, that he would have a longer and better professional career than him, you would have laughed me off the. You would have literally laughed at me.
So my buddy Billy Gilman, when they drafted RG3 and turned around and drafted Kirk Cousins, literally said, he said, look, he said they just took. I forgot who he compared RG3 to. I forgot the guy, but then he turned around and said, they probably just drafted Tom Brady in the 6th round. Now, he's not Tom Brady, but he made a point to say there's a reason they took that guy.
Well, they hedged their bets. They were like, listen, we're going to get a quarterback out of this draft class. Yeah. And I don't even think they knew Kurt was that good. Yeah. But it's so funny to look back that he came out the year that RG3's rookie year. Yeah. I mean, he was a sensation. Remember?
He was the man. I mean, unbelievable.
And then
I like RG3 too. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a solid.
He seems like a good dude.
Well, here's the one thing I will say is that he was supposed to release a book about the Redskins organization, and
that could have played a role.
And here's the thing, that never came to light. Like he had I guess they had paid him money to do the book. Yeah. To be a tell-all about it. I guess because he's now on ESPN, NFL. There is no book. There is no leaking of all the stuff that was going on. Because I mean, if anybody got done dirty, let's be honest, RG3 got thrown in a game. Yeah. And I mean, I don't even think it was the Shanahans who wanted to do that. I think it was literally Dan Snyder was like, he's playing.
Was it? I think it was against the Seattle Seahawks in the playoffs. I think it was then.
Knee literally went out, and
I remember that.
And if you remember, the Shanahans really did not want to play him because they knew how hurt he was. And I think if anybody probably has a lot of bad feelings towards something, I mean, it definitely would be him because they ruined. I mean, look, essentially,
if you don't think you're going to win the Super Bowl, don't ruin a guy's. Don't ruin the longevity of your career. You know what I mean? Don't ruin a guy's career if you don't think you're going. Even if you do win the Super Bowl, it's like, I don't know, man. I just don't think you risk it. Look at Adrian Peterson. Now, this is a different example because the season was over with. The year Adrian Peterson blew out his knee, we were done. Yeah. The Vikings were out. And actually, it would have behooved us to lose because if we had lost, we probably would have wound up with Andrew Luck. We were in the running for Andrew Luck. But instead, the Vikings or Peterson, or whoever decided to push him out there, right, puts him out in a meaningless game against Washington at the end of the season, and he blows his fucking knee out. Yeah. You don't race a horse for charity when you have Seabiscuit. You know what I mean? You don't do that.
Well, that's what that was what was. Think about this.
I just don't understand it.
RG3 was the original Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Well,
right? Because Lamar is super athletic.
Or what would you say, Michael Vick? Or is Vic just in a tier of his own? I think Vic's probably just in a.
But Vic is such an anomaly because he had such a huge arm, had no touch on the ball, and could run. He could run out of the gym.
Vic was.
He was. Listen, his downside was touch. But he could zoom that ball.
He could spin it though.
He could zoom at 80 yards on the run. On the run. But he might overthrow you.
Dude, that one play he made against the Packers in the playoffs, like one of his first years in the league. I don't remember what. It was like 2001 or 2. I still to this day remember where I was when he made it. And we were all just like, holy fuck.
He was that kind of athlete, but I think that it'll be hard to be as he was both passing and I mean, if you really look back at those Atlanta teams, they had no one except for Vic.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like Algie Crumpler. And like Roddy White.
I forgot. Yeah, but I forgot who their running backs were.
Michael Turner was it? Who was their running back?
Was it Dunn? Was it Warwick Dunn?
Yeah, Warwick Dunn. Yeah. TJ Duckett.
TJ Duckett. TJ Duckett, Warwick Dunn.
That's what I mean. Like they had literally no one.
I had TJ Duckett in fantasy one year, I think, and Dunn.
Yeah, I mean TJ Duckett was a good. He was a good touchdown option for you, but he wasn't getting anything, and Dunn was way past his prime.
Yeah, dude. 1 year in fantasy, I started Chris Redman, and who was the other guy? Michael and listen. First round of the playoffs, I picked up Chris Redman and Michael Jenkins from the Falcons. Spot started them in the playoffs. And waxed that ass, baby. Wound up going on and winning a championship off that move.
Chris Redman.
I sat Eli Manning, and they were like, "Are you going to see?" I was like, "Yeah, I love the matchup." They were playing the Saints. I'll never forget it. My buddy, if he's watching this right now, Bill, I apologize for saying I waxed that ass. He's still having panic attacks over that move. But anyhow, so look, we can talk football all day. Yeah. It's way early in the season. Yeah. You know, give the Vikings time. They're probably going to fuck it up. Josh Allen, look, he's making his mistakes now. The guy's amazing. Let's not, dude, I'd rather make his mistakes now and get it out of his head than go into the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big deal. Like, it's freaking week 10.
But here's the thing. You have to he's young, and when that pressure mounts on you, when everyone's like Josh Allen, they've anointed him. The problem is...
It's early, man.
The problem is he's been anointed to be this great thing. Now he has to live up to it, and now you're starting to see yesterday. Listen, if you have to look at the body language, and that's a huge part of it. He was on the side. He wasn't... Listen, one thing I will tell you is Brady, if he throws a pick, I mean, he's throwing his helmet. He's in everybody's ass, and he's going to be like, we're going to go down, we're going to score, we're going to do this. Josh, and again, everybody leads differently. Yesterday, after that, he's sitting. They kept focusing on him on the bench, and he's just sitting there with his jacket on, and you can tell he's in his mind. He's literally thinking about how I don't know. Like, you could tell he's processing. Like, I didn't see that guy coming. And he's like, I made the wrong decision. So then he comes back out. And then he's running with his head down. Yeah. And I'm like, this is because he's angry. Because now he knows he's made a mistake. He's like, I'm going to win this for my team. Yeah. But that's where I'm talking about. Like, you can't, somebody has to wheel him in this week. Somebody has to sit him down and go, listen, we don't need you. Here's what you can't do is lose us the games. Yeah. We need you to win us the games, but we can't have you losing us games. So if the throw is not there, throw it away.
He'll be all right. He's gonna work it out. But look, speaking of wheeling us back in, let's wheel back into Thanksgiving. Yeah. All right, food wise, what's your favorite? How do you eat your food? How do you like what do you eat? What's your favorite foods, man? Tell me about this.
Man, listen, stuffing is a must.
Oh yeah.
I mean, stuffing is a must. Yeah. If we're talking, I'm.
So you call it stuffing? I call it dressing, but same difference.
Dressing, stuffing.
Same difference. Yeah.
So. I mean, that's the huge part. Stuffing is huge for us because we go through a lot.
Do you do the oyster too? Oyster dressing or just the regular?
Regular dressing.
Yeah.
No, not oyster.
We do the oyster and the regs.
Really?
So we do both, yeah.
See, so, man.
I'm not a big fan. I love oysters, but I'm not a huge oyster dressing fan yet. Yeah. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. It's for me, I also love, the corn, the mac and cheese, like baked mac and cheese. Yeah. Like all that. And like we were talking about yesterday, when you make a plate, I was like, I just put it all kind of together. I'm a big like, let's have them all together.
That's
let's have a flavor
That's
blast.
how I am too, baby.
And some people were like, it gives them OCD. They're like, dude, you're mixing all these things together. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, your boy Ross was saying he didn't do that. He was like, you eat it all. I'm like, dude, literally, you could put my whole plate in a blender and give me a straw and I'd fucking drink it.
That's what.
I'm mixing that shit together, baby.
It's like you're playing you put the turkey with the mashed potatoes or something. You know, it's like there is so many different options. I mean. I said this yesterday, like that's hence why, like, if I'm ever like, if I don't know what to get and I'm just hungry, I'll go to Wawa right now and they have the I don't know if it's called the leftover, but it's like basically it's Thanksgiving leftovers on a sub, and it's so delicious. Like I'm like, anytime you put mashed potatoes, turkey, gravy, and then sometimes I'll order a little stuffing to put in there, like what. Dude, absolutely. Like that's, dude. I mean, dude, if I could make a sandwich, if I could make several sandwiches of that, I would. Instead of just eating it all.
Dude, my mom, man, she literally takes real bread and like chops it up and makes oh my God, dude. Her stuff, dude.
That's what my mother does. She does real bread, chopped up. Yeah. pieced out. It's so good. I mean, so you're not a stovetop stuff?
No,
like
I like the real dressing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't eat stovetop, but I'm pampered when it comes to dressing because I know dude, I'll take the dressing, the mashed potatoes. My wife, man. So my mom, the one thing my mom has never been great at making is mac and cheese, but my wife is like the mac and cheese master. Yeah. So I get her mac and cheese in there. I get it all with the succotash on the potatoes.
Yeah.
Now my mom makes these dumplings, these Eastern Shore flat dumplings.
That's what you were saying. That's what
dude,
you were saying.
I put them on top of everything, then drop I take the cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
Now we do eat the canned cranberry sauce.
Okay, so that's a tradition.
I like the canned cranberry sauce is the shit.
Everybody.
I put that on there, dude, and I just put everything together, and then I put that gravy on top of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So gravy is a must,
I just be tearing that shit up, boy.
Listen, gravy can go on everything.
Everything.
Like for Thanksgiving. But I said yesterday, I was like, hot take. Like I was like, I love ham more than I do turkey.
Yeah.
Like turkey breast is great, and I'll eat turkey. Don't get me wrong. But like when it comes to like my plate, like portions, I'm like, I have way more ham than I do turkey.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just like
ham. Yeah.
It's really strange, even though it's Turkey Day. But I'm not big on. Now here's the thing: if I make it into a like when you have meat that's left over, you make it into a sandwich. Oh yeah, I mean that hits the next.
Now I will say this: there is no broth like turkey broth. My mom, she makes this. So we do this. We call it pastina soup.
Yeah.
But it's like Italian wedding soup, but it's our own family's. It's a different version of it.
Yeah.
We don't put some things in there that's typical, but anyhow, and we don't even use pastina. Actually, it's funny. We use a pasta called acini di pepe, and man, I'm gonna tell you, when my mom makes that Thanksgiving turkey soup, boy, with the little meatballs in it, dude, I'll straight up snort that shit. Like,
really?
Dude, oh my God, I can go through both. Like literally, I will have my White Russian. I'll start out with some soup. I eat my dinner, then I have another bowl of soup. Then I have dessert. And then I go sit on the couch for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And then I eat like 4 more bowls of soup.
Dessert wise, what do you do?
My dad makes sweet potato pie, man. I like the sweet potato pie. I like pumpkin too. I love the sweet potato pie though, man. Like
listen, everybody's like.
I'm like Domino. Remember Domino?
Yeah,
sweet potato pie.
Listen, but my question is sweet potato pie. People are like, it tastes similar to pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not as sweet. Pumpkin pie is a little sweeter.
Yeah. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they're both relatively the same. And when people compare.
So what's funny is I never liked sweet potatoes growing up, and I'm starting to like them now because like my mother.
Put cinnamon on them and butter.
Well, I'm starting to like them now, but my mother-in-law, she makes these like sweet potato casseroles.
Yeah.
And then my wife makes like a cranberry casserole. So I'm starting to come around to the yams and stuff like that more than I used to be. But I just like the sweetness and the savory. So if you could take some of those casseroles and then mix them in with the potatoes and then add a little tart flavor with the cranberry and the gravy and all that shit, boy. Woo.
So we typically have, for us, we'll have cheesecake because I love cheesecake. I love cheesecake.
Damn, that sounds good.
Yeah, we'll have a cheesecake. We will have a chocolate pie.
Yeah.
Cherry pie, and then a pumpkin pie.
Okay.
So, I mean, let me put it this way. I go to town on dessert time.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm loading up on desserts. I'll have and again, all together.
Yeah.
Just, hey, man, cheesecake with a little bit of cherry pie. Who knows? I mean, I'll mix it up.
You want that souffle, baby. You getting that smorgasbord.
Yeah, listen, I am big. At that point in time, it's all, and listen, everyone always makes fun of how I eat because, like, growing up, I always say this. When you grow up in a family, big family, it's like you have to eat, and if you want leftovers or you want more food, you got to get back up there, to get it.
Oh yeah,
because if not, somebody else is going to take it. Right. So you can't be bashful. So like when we were kids, I always ate fast. Because I'd be like, I want more food. Like I'm hungry. I'm growing. I'm a growing. Now, mind you, I grew up with 2 sisters. So they're not, I mean, but there would be times where they'd go over to the bowl and it'd be clean because I'm like, guess what? I got all the last mac and cheese. I got all the, you know what I mean? Because the first serving wasn't, but I was trained to always eat like that, to like, in my mind, I trained myself to be like, if you want more food, you're going to do it. So that's a huge
Would you eat the last thing on the plate?
I'm always weird about that.
Yeah, I know we eating the last thing.
Listen, I always leave like, and this is what they would always bitch at me about. They'd be like, "You just leave just enough." Like, I hate you for that.
Yeah, like I would never eat the last of anything. Like, you're gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat it. Who's gonna eat that?
It's like, well, let's just say like if there would be like mac and cheese or like corn or mashed potatoes, like I would take just enough and leave like a little bit so I could I live with myself with that. I'd be like, I didn't eat it all. Like I left some for you. They're like, it's spoonful.
So you eat mouth. This sounds crazy. You eat mouth full or mouth closed or mouth open?
Closed, dude. If somebody eats open, man, that's
dude. You don't look. I grew up in a big Italian family, and when we had big Thanksgivings where everybody was there. And my friends would come by sometime because they would come over after their dinners.
Yeah.
And we would just be eating. So they'd hang out downstairs and drink. So we'd have big card games afterwards. So they would come upstairs and it would annoy them because we would all be sitting around this big Italian family eating, talking at the same time while we're eating, chomping. Oh my God. Like literally if you come in and listen to us eat, it's like, nom, 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 nom. Like, it's just.
See, that would drive
It's just
me.
Italian shit, man.
Dude, that would,
I think
my biggest thing is when you hear the chomping. Or I said, this is probably my number one.
I'm not as bad as I used to be. I'm not as bad as I used to be.
Slurp,
oh, dude, if I'm eating super cereal, dude, I'm.
I know it's. I mean, it's like you might as well just shoot me at that point. I'm like, dude, I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I can't do it. But we're at our table. Then you say prayer.
Yeah.
You say prayer.
Absolutely.
Bow our heads off our things.
Yeah, man, damn right.
Then we eat. No one's really taught.
What's your prayer? What's your prayer?
Every year we just do one. I mean,
what is it? What's your grace?
No, well, I think our grace is more like we make it up as we go, like the things that we're thankful for, everything. Yeah. So I haven't done it in
So it's not a traditional. It's just a different thing.
No, it's not a traditional. It's more of say what you're thankful for, say all the stuff. So there's always a person that's elected out of the group, and you
should do it this year, man. You got big. You're becoming the head of the table now. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. I am, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm I always I'll defer to anyone else because I always talk about how thankful I am. I always say I'm truly blessed to live the life I live.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that around me. So I could go on tangents about how blessed I am, and people are like, okay, we got it.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? You're
just thankful.
Yeah,
you just have gratitude.
I have gratitude, and I'm so blessed and thankful to have what I have. So, yeah, it might be this year. This year might be my time to do it, to say the prayer, and relieve one of my sisters from doing it.
You're welcoming a new member into the family too this year.
That's
which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exciting too. It's a very exciting time for us, and this is where holiday seasons. This is I'm sure you probably have experienced it, but family going to this family, you have two different.
Yeah, man.
It's so that's what it's almost like you have to know ahead of time. Typically, I wouldn't ever care when my family dinner is, because I'd be like, that's all I'm doing that day. But now it's you're trying to figure out how your day is going to be laid out. You're like, okay, if I go to the gym at this time, if I do this at this, what time do you want to go here? Do you want to go here? So it's always
when I was growing up, everybody it was everybody. You went to everybody's house and you crammed it all in.
Yeah.
And it was and then my grandmother, she had a huge party where the whole town would be there.
Yeah.
Her house was right in the middle of town in Delmar.
Right.
So I mean, I grew up with, like I said, a big Italian family. My mom was one of 8. And when you've got, a lot of aunts and uncles, naturally you have a lot of cousins.
Right.
And we all live within, a mile or so of each other. We're in and out of each other's houses. Nobody locked the doors.
Yeah.
You just would walk in. Hell, sometimes you'd walk in and go to the refrigerator and get what you wanted before you'd even talk to the homeowner.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just, we lived like that. It was like a village. But now, and then my wife, her family is a little bit smaller, and she always just mainly just did things with, she did things with her extended family too, but they really were more consolidated to her and her brother and her mom and dad. Me being an only child, I wanted more people because I didn't have a sibling to share, everything with. But my wife's done a good job of really honing me in and being no, we're gonna do things, but we might not want to run around like crazy. Let's make it about us. Yeah. So I've kind of calmed down in that sense, but I still I still like to do as much as I can, man. I like to see people, man. I like to be around people. You know,
I love the sense of togetherness of community that it brings you.
Yeah.
For those, and listen, there's no the time frame, like the rat race, as I call it, from Thanksgiving to Christmas. I always say each year, like take time to just enjoy. Like, take a deep breath and enjoy just the spirit, because typically that's when you see people actually like are nice enough to like, oh hey, they're courteous. Hey, I'll hold the door for you or something. It's really weird. It's that time of year people are way more nice. You don't know how many times going through like the drive-through at Starbucks, it's like pay it forward. If I start it, you know what I mean? Or somebody might do it for me and then I keep it going.
Yeah.
It's like you see that more and more around the holidays. So it's like, take the time, enjoy that with your family. Enjoy the things that, like sitting around the table, you know, put your phone away, be present.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to have your phone out. There's no need to, you know, try to make conversation with the family. Try to see what they're going through, see what other people are doing, see what, you know, ask questions. And that's one thing that I've, like, as I've gotten older, I've realized, I'm like, that's what I enjoy about this time of year is just actually like, okay, do you want to go to the light show? The light show is a thing, but like, it's really the experience of the people that you go with, right, that make it.
Yeah.
You know, because you could walk through the light show in Ocean City by yourself.
Yeah.
Is it cool? I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's a lot of lights, but it's the people there, and it's the feeling of that. You know what I mean? So
it's just a good time for family and friends, and you know, like you said, man, just like, you know, no matter how big or how small your family is, no matter how big or small your crowd of friends that you have are, it's just, I feel like people appreciate each other a little bit more than typical. You know, unless you're partaking in Festivus. Oh, never mind. You've never seen Seinfeld.
Nah.
Watch the Festivus episode.
Okay.
All right, we won't get on that because you've never seen it.
So I man, I think I'm 100%. I love that. You know, that. But here's a question for you: Do you have the same spread for Thanksgiving that you do for Christmas, or is it switched up?
Well, you know what? So I love my mom's turkey dinners, and I only get them once or twice a year. So sometimes I'll get my mom to repeat it. But it's hit or miss. Like sometimes she'll just do, like she'll obviously do the traditional turkey Thanksgiving dinner like we talked about, and then Christmas she'll repeat it every once in a while, and then sometimes we do ham, like we'll do like ham and things like that, and then on New Year's Day we always eat black eyed peas. Okay, dude, I smash, and we make these things called Maryland beat biscuits. Yeah, and there's these little biscuits, and you actually beat them with a hammer. You beat the dough with a hammer. Yeah, and dude, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's really, they're really bland. They don't taste like much, but you put a piece of like country ham, some Siler City ham on there, boy, and then eat them black eyed peas and some chili. Watch some college football. Yeah, but I don't want to get too far. Man, I want to enjoy Christmas. Let's not get into New Year's yet, right?
Hey, listen, that's right. No, we start. I think last year was the first time we did like an Italian that we did lasagna, homemade lasagna, and different stuff for Christmas than we did. Yeah. But we still my mom still made a traditional turkey just so it was there, like it was kind of, but we just tried something different because I'm like, the problem is too, and you talked about this, inflation, all this stuff this last couple, it's like, you buy all this food and the leftovers by Wednesday next week, they're all thrown in the trash. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're talking half a turkey, half a ham, because
I don't know. I will smash leftovers.
No, I do. Listen,
I love leftovers.
I am not.
We actually have a leftover party.
Really? Yeah. I am not a leftover kind of guy. Okay, I'm not a leftover kind of guy. But however, like for that, I will eat it at least one day after. Dude. Like I'll give it Friday, Black Friday. I'll still be eating those whatever. But once Saturday comes, I'm on to I'm like,
dude, some of my favorite times in life is when I was in my 20s and I would just come home from the bar late night, like like just smashed on Thanksgiving weekend. You know what I mean? And just go into the fridge, boy. Just like 4 in the morning, just crushing. Dressing the mashed potatoes.
Man, getting all
try not to let my parents hear me hit the microwave oven. Just killing that shit.
Man, that's why I think this year we'll probably do something similar to last year, where we'll have this huge Thanksgiving spread. Yeah. Then Christmas it'll be more of like a family meal. But we'll have a traditional turkey just because we always like cut the turkey or whatever. But yeah, that was actually fun last year to do because it was just different. Even though I don't get turkey and ham and all that stuff all the time, it's just like it's still. I liked having a little switch up because you know, it's and plus there was no like leftovers. Like
a good ham's underrated too.
Like,
ham's underrated.
That's what I mean. Ham is underrated, and like we had no leftovers. No one went home like being like, oh man, we got to, because you know my sisters will bring stuff and I'll bring stuff, and it's like it's great feeling when you leave and you're like, okay, they're not having a ton of, my parents don't have a ton of food there. Like no one's taking home a bunch of stuff that they might not eat because I hate wasting food. Like that's like my biggest pet peeve from like when I was a kid. My dad would be like, "You don't waste it,
dude." So did you ever do a turkey bowl with your friends?
I did, but I'm way too old.
Oh, we don't do that anymore. We used to do it though, like in our 20s, and I mean, it was brutal. I mean, like we tackled, and my cousin would come out. My cousin G Dub, he would come out with no shirt on. Actually, no, I take that back. He would wear like an Under Armour shirt, and he'd wear tuxedo pants with a bow tie, and he would run through motherfuckers out there, dude. Like, but anyhow, dude, we would stay up. So we would, like, back in the day in our 20s, and our parents were still younger. Yeah. And my mom would have her big dinner, my aunt would have their big dinner, and then sometimes we'd have like a 7-course meal together. Yeah. And like, I mean, in between courses, man, we were having fun. We were eating a lot back then, right? So. And then afterwards, like the whole, like, oh my God, I bet 15, 20 people would come over and we'd have a massive card game, like big Italian card games that would last till 5 or 6 in the morning. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably eat 8, 9 bowls of soup while I'm doing it, drinking Jack Daniels, drinking White Russes. And then we get up the next morning hungover and go, do the turkey bowl. Yeah. And we would just get, oh my God, dude. Like, I mean, injuries were mounting up over time. Yeah. I mean, not like broken legs, but over time, it was like, okay, we're going to have to stop doing this.
I think listen, when the soreness starts to kick your ass even more, like, listen, I work out, but I can tell you playing football right now is not in my, like, I could go out here and run a couple routes, okay? Don't get me wrong, okay?
I'm not doing it.
But here's what I can tell you. About after 7 of them bad boys, these legs are tight, and my body is starting to hurt, and especially if you play in tackle, I don't know how many of those I got in me where I'm just going to keep, like, when we were kids, going straight head forward into somebody, putting your head into someone's chest while you're playing with no pads on, you're like, oh, that doesn't hurt. Now, dude, my shoulders will be out of socket for the rest,
So my cousin G-Dub, dude, he would like run. His younger brother would have his friends come over, and then it was like the old heads versus the young guys, and like basically you just hand the ball off to G-Dub and he'd run through all of them because they weren't like football players. So they got tired of losing. So they went and got my buddy. Dustin Johnson used to be quarterback for Salisbury. He's coaching at Penn State now.
Yes.
So he's like an assistant at Penn State right now. So they go, and then his nephew actually is Dante Trader that plays for Maryland. Okay, little Dante, right? So they go and get Dustin one year to go get his buddies that played at SU, and so they come in with ringers, and then like that's when shit started getting serious. We were like, all right, well,
you were like,
we're getting ready to injure some college player. Well, we weren't, but they, we don't want them getting injured and shit. But
that's that. But you know what, the Turkey Bowl is.
Turkey Bowl was serious, man.
I often be like, I would love to be able to just go live the glory days of the Turkey Bowl in a touch form fashion.
Yeah.
But like but my thing is I don't know how people see. It's like we're nature in nature, we're like, it touches just so like stupid. Like, I fucking hate it. Yeah. But it's like I love the essence of the game. Like I love going out there and doing that thing. But I hung that up 5 years ago, 6 years ago, because I was like, even like late 20s, man, it just you don't run the same. Like after a bender, like after a night bender, dude.
We could run though, man, dude. We could go. It was crazy, and I still have energy. Like we drink a couple nights a week. I'm not a guy who drinks every day of the week. I actually tell everybody, like, the reason I don't drink every day is because I actually like alcohol, and I feel like if you really love something, you don't abuse it. You know what I mean? So. We drink a couple nights a week. Some weekends we might drink more than we should. Yeah. Some weekends we just have a couple drinks. But honestly, man, it's weird. Like when I get drinking like a lot, like when we're out partying, I actually have more energy than that. I can't even sleep. I actually stay up.
Is that because of the anxiety from the
I don't know, man. I can't sleep. I get up, man, and I'm so juiced and I'm cooking bread. Like, you come over, I'm still kind of half drunk, making pancakes, and I'm like Prince from the Chappelle show.
Here's what I'll tell you. We're both whiskey drinkers, and I think that is...
Oh, whiskey gives you tons of energy.
I think whiskey is because that's the only alcohol that I do not get hungover on.
So whiskey to me, everybody wants to fight when they're drinking whiskey. I've never been like that. I've always been more of a sentimental person. I've always been reflective. I've always we can sit here and have the most heart-to-heart deep conversations. That's where the Whiskey Sessions segment came from, was those conversations, which, by the way, Whiskey Sessions Season 3, if you guys have never followed Whiskey Sessions on Trader Real Estate Entertainment, you guys need to check it out.
And subscribe.
It's been 15 months. It's finally coming back. And Maurice Waters does the production, him and my man Dave. And I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, it's pretty cool. If I do say so myself, I think you guys will like it. But look, I know we're getting short on time. We better stop here because we could go into a whole nother conversation. So wrap it up, man. Tell a little something for the holidays. We're gonna talk a lot more about the holidays in the coming weeks, but kick us off with something else.
Hey, man, just be you know what? Enjoy your blessings, man. Every day's a blessing. And just appreciate life for what it is, man. What's in front of you. That day, Thanksgiving, this whole time of year, everyone around you, make sure you appreciate them. Everyone, tell somebody something nice that day that they, you know what? Because you don't know what you could do to change somebody's day. They could be having a bad day.
Yeah.
And so my biggest thing is, especially on that day, just make sure your people, friends, family, whoever, know how grateful you are to have them.
Man, I don't even think I can even add to that. Like, I feel the exact same way. The only thing I'll say is make sure your food touches itself. Everything needs to touch. The food needs to touch.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right? Souffle that shit up.
Absolutely.
Put some gravy on it.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much all I'm going to say. Well, my man nailed it. Congrats again.
Thank you,
on the engagement.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully the Vikings will see the Bills in the Super Bowl. Right?
Hey, that'd be a hell of a thing.
That'd be cool. But you guys enjoy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you soon right here, only on Prop Culture. See you.